Jamal, are you happy with the quality of three-point shots your team is getting? And if so, why?
I think we're top of the league in corner threes. And I think what that says is that the ball is moving, and they're coming at different possessions of the shot clock, at different times of the shot clock. So that means we're moving the basketball the right way and getting the looks that we want. I think that's very important to remember in the process of why you're shooting threes. You're not just shooting them to cast them up. You're shooting to make sure you've gotten the right possessions, we've touched the paint, and we've sprayed it out.
Are your guys buying into the process over results at a time like this?
I believe so. I think the spirits are still just as high, understanding what that road trip was, but now that you have a 5-game homestand, you're recognizing how we have to start building, with Paolo being out, with Wendell being out, knowing how we have to continue to play our style of basketball.
Can being at home, having the home sight lines, along with just time for that kind of randomness to even out, all help in that regard?
That's all of it. Like you just said, the randomness kind of settling down a little bit for guys they start to recognize what they need to do in this moment, how the style is maybe a little bit different without the attention that Paolo draws, but then being at home, making sure you understand how we've been at home, but not taking it for granted, just assuming that because you're home, it guarantees to come out with a win. We still have to stick to our process and style of basketball.
We've talked a lot about how Paolo's absence has impacted Jalen and Franz and that starting unit, but as you've mixed and experimented with combinations, rotations, how has that impacted your bench?
Well, it's just finding that right combination. I think a lot of times, if you notice during games, sometimes we'll sub in early, so different guys are playing with Paolo in those moments. And now we've had to mix it up a little bit with Franz staying a little longer. Again, bumping Jalen in, bumping Jalen out, but just finding different scenarios that these guys can be comfortable playing alongside of one another. And then I'll keep going back to there's a style that we want to play regardless of who's on the floor. And I think these guys, as the games have gone on, we're starting to see more and more of it.
It's still so early in the season, but do you sense this a kind of calm and poise about how this team is attacking, trying to get out of this losing streak?
Absolutely. I think last year did a lot for these guys when it comes to having experience and knowing, yes, how important these games are, how important each game is, but there's not a panic. There's more of a sense of, all right, we know what to do, the process is working, we're getting the things that we want. Now it's just a matter of executing and finishing possessions, finishing plays, and knocking shots down.
We've heard you guys talk about the process and you like the shots and the numbers suggest that too. How do you keep the team's confidence when they are doing everything right and not getting the results and the losses start to pile up?
And I'll keep repeating what I've known Jalen has said, what our guys have continued to say. You trust your work. You continue to stay with it regardless of what's happening. You stay with the work that you've done. And I go back to the example, and I've used this before. During the Olympics, everybody talked about how Steph was not making shots, wasn't making shots early on. And I'd watch him just after practice, shot after shot after shot, like he was in the first year of his deal. And you watch that from a Hall of Famer, best shooter in the NBA. What makes us think that we're just going to all of a sudden pop out of it without putting in the work in? And these guys put all that work in, and then to that point, he comes in and those shots that he hit in the final 2 games were incredible. So that's the work that you say you put in every single day, knowing you trust it, and that's what you're supposed to do.
You spoke about limiting runouts on defense when the team is able to rebound and miss versus taking the ball out of the basket. With the increase in volume in three-point shots and the longer rebounds that come from that, do you guys have to change the way that you crash and glass on offense at all?
Well, there's a method to it. I mean, you look over the last 4 games, I believe it's 54 points in runouts. That's missed layups and missed threes that teams have gotten on the runouts because of the long shots.
Average or total?
Total. So you look at that, and now you say, okay, what needs to be done differently? One, the timing of the shot, the positioning that we have on the floor, and how we crash is very important. You're not coming from the baseline side, you need to come from the top side, so it allows you to get back in front of the ball before it's pushed out in transition.
We saw Wendell on the bike doing some cardio, but what was he able to do this morning beyond that, I guess?
Just more cardio on the bike, just trying to keep himself conditioned.
What is Paolo able to do, and how important is it for him to be here and have kind of the resources where someone maybe don't have all the resources to kind of really
this building is amazing for that. You have everything you need right in front of you, and his ability to be here and back in this building has been great. His ability to ride the bike a little bit more, keep his conditioning up as much as possible without straining.
It seems like you gained an extra assistant coach with Pablo on this road trip. How has he grown in being able to help the team from the sideline, and what can he take away from it when he's ready to go again?
Well, I think seeing the game from a different vantage point, and I think that's so big. You know, obviously he has a great sense and a great feel for the game while he's on the court, and whether he's watching it from the sideline in substitution at sub-pattern times. But now he's really seeing it from a coach's perspective. When we sub, why we sub, who's hot, who's not, what teams are running. You're analyzing the whole game. So it's actually been fantastic to have him up there. And he'll come to me sometimes and he'll talk about a scenario throughout the game. Just recently in that Indiana game, talking about a matchup and what he sees. I think it's great for him because as he comes back, it's going to be able to slow the game down even more so than it has been before.
For people not familiar with Tristan's game, how do you describe it?
Oh wow, Tristan is very unique. First of all, he's older than a lot of our young guys, so his maturity is one. He understands the game. He's got a great basketball IQ. He knows when to cut, how to cut, where to cut, when to find open spaces. He can handle the ball more than people realize. He's a very calming presence out there on the floor.
How is he defensively?
He's done a very good job. He's a very good positional defender, and I think he does a great job of understanding personnel, knowing who he's playing against and how he needs to defend them.
New Orleans is a team that's dealing with its own injury issues, shuffling lineups. What are you seeing from them and the challenges they present when you look at them on the field?
You know, the biggest two, Zion and B.I. I think those two pose a big-time problem no matter who else they have on the floor. Now, Alvarado is an unbelievable spark for that team. I think last game he was like 7 for 7. And I think his ability to push the pace, get them in transition, similar to most teams, along with Zion now pushing the pace, getting in transition, and then half court, what B.I. is able to do just from the mid-range, but also being able to knock down threes. So for us, it's going to be very important, as we continue to say, 1, get back in transition, 2, defend without fouling, and then 3, finish possessions off because they do a great job of crashing the glass.
Coach, it seems like you mixed in a bit more zone than normal against Indiana the other night. Was that matchup based or just something that you were working on?
We've worked on it throughout training camp. It's just finding the right times for it, mixing things up with pick and roll coverages, giving teams different looks, and we'll break it out at different times just to make sure that you want to keep the offense off balance. And I think that's one thing with great teams and great players. You have to keep them off balance, and they can't see a heavy dosage of the same thing.
Yeah, for a team in your situation, just how good is it to be home, and how much can that help potentially remedy things for this group right now?
A bunch. I think time is a big aspect of it too. Figuring out how we continue to play together, how we grow, and so definitely being home is fun, and we're looking to take advantage of it.
What was your biggest takeaway from, you look at the 5-game road trip, but really the last 4 games without Paolo? What do you think you've learned?
It's difficult, to be playing a certain way, to go into the season with a certain mindset in the way that we're playing, and to have that be completely changed overnight is tough. And so we got to continue to work to figure it out. But I feel like as the games have gone on, we have. And so it's just a time thing, and just not getting bored with it or not giving up, and just focusing on the details, and we'll figure it out tonight.
In that process, how important are reps in a non-game setting where you're in shoot-around practice, just to be able to kind of have that time to learn together?
Super important. We've been doing it, shoot-around this morning, so I think we're figuring it out. As the games are going on, we figured it out, and we'll continue to.
We've heard Coach talk a lot about the process, that he likes the shots that you guys are getting, and it's not going in. How do you kind of keep the confidence when you look at the tape and say, like, that's a good shot, it just didn't go in? How do you kind of keep that confidence and keep that poise to know that we're doing the right things, it just may not be getting
I think just Coach has been reiterating it, and we have been to ourselves, and so we just stay with it. Shots are going to fall, it's just going to take some time.
Is there confidence? You guys know what you're capable of. Is there confidence that you know that's still in front of you, that you can reach into that?
Absolutely. And being home is a nice little energy boost, getting some rest from coming off the road. So we ready.
Yeah, you've been around different Magic groups. How well equipped is this group mentally to withstand moments of adversity that come up during the course of a season?
I mean, look at right now. Obviously it was a really tough road stretch, but we, not one game did we, just let go of the reins and say this is it. We're not going to, fight to come back or make a game out of it. And so it speaks to the mental toughness of this group, and we just need to find a little, footing. And I think we grab this one tonight, we'll be on our way.
Yeah, the bench was kind of the spot this team fell back to last year at times, one of the better scoring teams in the league. Numbers haven't backed that up this year. How do you get that second unit back to the performance that it was last year?
I mean, I think just figuring it out. It's a different unit so far, and so we just gotta work with it. We'll figure it out. I think time will tell.
Seems like you guys have a lot of kind of calm and poise, about yourself. Like it's a 5-game losing streak, but maybe it doesn't completely feel like it because, do you feel like there's a poise that you guys know how to get yourselves out of this, and that it's a long season, and there's plenty of time to make it?
Yeah, I think just keeping that mindset. It is really long right now. It feels like, or from the outside looking in, like it's doomsday, but it's not. We know it's basketball, and it just takes one. You get one, okay, everything kind of settles down, and you start rolling into more. So I'm not worried, and we're not worried.
How have Jalen and Franz stepped up in this moment?
I mean, huge. They've everything's kind of fell on their shoulders to a certain degree, and they've stepped up to be aggressive and kind of be the leading scorers of the team. So we need it.
What have you seen out of Anthony Black in the second unit?
Yeah, he's been good. He's continuing to get better. Learning as a young guard to keep his head and just keep attacking, and he's done that.
Thanks, Jared.
Appreciate y'all.
Hey, thanks, man.